All right, we are live for our Super Bowl and some other stuff, but mainly Super Bowl show here on the Beard and the Bookie. It's a full crew. The Beard there to the far right, Stash in the middle with his blurred background. Yeah, you did take off the Flames hat though, so that's a good thing. I didn't want to give that to the public.
They don't need to see that.
So normally we wait like a good 20 minutes before we put the show off the rails. I'm going to do it at the start of the show. Because why do the Popo have to always try and start shit when they pull you over? Why is that?
Did you get pulled over?
On my way back to the show, it happened. So the road has 3 stop signs. Okay? I stopped at the first 2. I may have stopped at the third one, at least a rolling stop. Okay? There's no way I blew it. He proceeds to tell me that all right, which I totally cop to when he's asking for the stop. I'm like, I didn't, once he tells me what he's pulling out, I'm like, I didn't mean to do a rolling. He goes, oh, you didn't even roll. Like, yeah, dude, I didn't stop at the first 2 and then just blow past the third for the hell of it.
I don't know how you guys drive out there in Jersey, so who knows?
I think you did.
I'm glad you guys.
You don't get to comment on how people in Jersey drive, Chico.
Why?
Like, people in Vegas kill other people. NFL players kill people.
I was gonna say I saw how Henry Ruggs drove in Jersey or in Vegas.
I mean, it's still Jersey though. Much rather live here than there.
Jersey is.
You guys have what? Squirrels to hit? That's it?
You guys are playing GTA out there.
No, we got deer. We got moose.
Okay, so 1 deer. Okay, thank God. Save me from the bad deer.
Yeah, but you got a moose that's twice the size of your car.
Just don't. Yeah, you should be able to see it. There's no reason to hit. There's no reason you should ever hit a moose.
Oh, 100% disagree.
Oh, was he wearing camouflage?
You used to live up here. You know what black ice is?
I do. Put it in.
So you hit black ice. I do know what it is, but still, stop, you're gonna go straight on into the moose.
Maybe you shouldn't be driving so fast on it.
Maybe you shouldn't tell me how to live my life.
But you're like, I grew up on these roads. I've driven these roads since I was 11. I know how fast to go. And then you hit a moose, and then you're out. Yep.
See, like I said, we're 3 minutes into the show off the rails. So glad I could do that. All right. So just for the sake of people watching on the YouTube, this is all the papers of props at my establishment. Now, other establishments probably have more papers, but that's what I'm working off of here. Before we get into props and all kinds of that fun stuff, let's just talk about the game. Obviously last week when you guys were on sabbatical, me and Coral broke down the conference championships with the Bengals, obviously Mahomes forgetting who he was in the second half and letting Burrow and the Bengals come back, and then Sean McVay winning despite trying everything to give that game to the Niners. So here we are. Let's see what DraftKings has. Okay, so it looks like everybody has this line was 4.5. It seems like right now it is 4 flat for everybody. Over and under 48.5. So, Josh, I'm going to start with you because you have been a Ram cheerleader since the start of the season. So we'll give you your full points for the Rams being here, and I assume you're just going to ride the Rams here until the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I kind of have to at this point. Like, even if I want to go the Simpsons route and say Bengals, by 3, I kind of have to take the Rams, seeing as I've said all year that they were going to win it. The one thing that has really slowed the Bengals at all this year is a decent defense, and as much on Joe Burrow as you possibly can. It's the one thing that the Rams do really well, and the Rams are no slouch on offense either. So I think that this is going to be a pretty back and forth battle, but I like Sean McVay as a second time in the Super Bowl head coach. So I think he has the experience to pull this off, and I think he knows how to manage this type of game now. And he has a quarterback that can actually move the ball this time. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Rams. I definitely I think that they're the favorite for a reason, but I don't discount the Bengals. I think this is going to be like a 3-point game. I don't know if we get like directly into bets or not, but I'm taking. I would take +4, like the Bengals at a +4, and I would take the over. I think this is definitely more than 48 points in this game.
So you're actually on the Bengals at +4 and over. Yay, nay?
I think the Rams win by 3.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. So you like Ram money line.
Yeah.
All right, Chico.
I like the Rams money line. I like the Bengals to cover the spread. You're on a delay, Dan. So like what I'm telling you here is getting through kind of late. But yeah, I like. Yeah.
Wait, who's on the delay? Because I keep hearing Josh later than
as do
Dan.
I think Josh is on the delay, but
yeah, he's in Minnesota. They don't have real internet out there,
so ahead,
he has a moose walking on a treadmill. For me, it's torn because I love Joey effing B. All right, this guy is a stud. He's gonna be a stud in the NFL for a long time. There was some scares right away. With him maybe not playing again or being able to play because of the injuries. But, I mean, all those years watching Matt Stafford in Detroit, getting his butt kicked week in and week out, and, them never really building around him and always being like, well, you're this good. You're the number one pick for a reason. Just go out there and play. And for him to go to the Super Bowl in this first year under Sean McVay in that offense and with that defense, I got to go with the Rams. I got to pick Matt Stafford. I like the -4. I believe they'll win by a touchdown. The over/under, though, I'm going to have to take the under. Both teams can score, but I feel the Rams are going to be able to hold that defense to, I don't know, maybe 14 points, and that's about it.
Okay, so as far as what Josh said about McVay having the advantage because he had done this before, Zach Taylor was on that coaching staff when the Rams went to the Super Bowl. So Zach Taylor knows the routine. I don't think there's anything that will surprise him, as far as preparation or anything like that. As far as Chico, you talking about the under, if you at 48.5, I kind of side with you. This coaching, referee crew, when you look at the games that they have ref this year, a majority of them have gone to the under. They were actually on one of the Chiefs game last week, which needed OT to get to the over, obviously. So, yeah, I was like, put a gun to my head. I'll take the under. I liked it more at 4.5. I don't like the flat floor. What I am going to do, my official bet, and this is a bit of a cop-out since you guys are actually playing the real lines, I'm not going to do that, is I'm going to tease this. I'm going to tease the Bengals up to 10, and I'm going to tease the over-under down to 42.5. I think they'll clear 42.5. This is probably a 45, 46-point game. I think the Bengals will be in range. The thing that prevents me from pulling the trigger on Bengals money line is two things. Number one, 61% of the bets right now are on the Bengals. Of the 17 legal betting states, 16 of them are on the Bengals. The Bengals are a square dog, which scares the living crap out of me. And number two, like Josh said, okay, we're talking about a Rams defense with Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd. The Titans sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. What do we think the Rams are going to be able to do? Now you've got 2 weeks. I'm sure they're going to try and run screens and 3-step drop, like get the ball out of Burrow's hands as quickly as possible. But there are going to be times where Burrow's going to have to stand back there and look to try and get the ball downfield a little bit. And I think Aaron Donald in that line might feast. So I don't think the Bengals will get blown out in this game. I'm comfortable with 10. I don't know how comfortable I would be with 4. So I'll take a bit of a cop out and I'll tease. Looking at MVPs, everybody's got different lines all over the place. Me and Chico, before we got up on, talked about the different lines that we have. So what I'm looking at on my screen is Stafford is even money for MVP. Burrow is 225. Cup is 6-1. Everybody else is more in the long shot range, 16, 18. What I will say is this. A lot of people are associating the idea that if the Bengals win, that Burrow will be MVP, which is logical. The Bengal money line right now, from what I see, is 160. Burrow is 225. So we're talking about a 65-cent difference. If you like the Bengals to win, I would probably, and you want to try and squeeze as much money out, just bet Burrow for MVP. All right, take the extra 65 cents because, yeah, more than likely, if the Bengals win, it'll be Burrow. On the Rams, on the other hand, I'm not sold it's going to be Matt Stafford. All right, and I'm going to sound a bit contrarian when we go to the props, and I tell you one of my prop picks. But Cooper Kupp opened at 7-1. He's down to 6-1. If Kupp goes off like he has, I could very easily see him being named MVP in this game. So, and you know, when you're looking at a minus 190 money line for the Rams already, then, you know, do you want even money with Stafford, or do you want to take a guy who I think has just as good as odds as Stafford does at Kupp at 6-1? I don't know if you guys are looking at anybody, you know, on a bigger long shot. You know, our wonderful scout over here took Chase at he's got 28-1. What do I have? I mean, he got a good number. I got Chase at 18-1. So, you guys looking at anybody else off the board here at MVP?
I mean, I'm really looking at Kupp mainly. Other than that, I don't see much. If it's going to be anybody else, it would probably be Jamar Chase. If the Bengals win, I could see him if he goes off himself. But yeah, it's going to be Stafford, Burrow, or Kupp.
Josh, you looking at anybody off the board?
I think this could be a year where it's a defensive player that wins it again, kind of like who was it? The
Von
guy
Miller?
for the Seahawks.
Oh, Malcolm Smith. That's who it was.
Von Miller was the last
I
one,
think
though.
it could be a
Yeah.
could be Von Miller. Yeah. So there was still somebody for the Seahawks too that did it.
Smith.
It was like the only time he'd ever had like a big play in the league ever. So I think
Smith made
someone
Smith
with an
made
M.
the pick.
I don't remember. He was a linebacker.
It was Malcolm Smith because he went and played for the Raiders after that.
Smith. Yeah. Malcolm Smith.
I'm pretty sure it was Malcolm Smith. I know it was Smith because I remember him
Yeah.
signing with the Raiders the following year, and they were like, "Oh, we got a good line."
Yeah,
He didn't.
that sounds exactly like the Raiders. Get somebody
Hey,
when he was good.
it
He
is.
sucked.
That's how we do it, baby.
Yeah. It could be a Von Miller type. It could even be a Jalen Ramsey. Like he would be another name that's on my list as well. I could see him pulling off a big time like pick 6 late in the game to seal it. Like that's definitely plausible. So I wouldn't be mad at that.
So Miller, I've got at 45-1. Ramsey 100-1. I'm surprised, Josh. You're going through all the defensive guys. You don't say Aaron Donald.
No, I don't. I don't think like a strip sack fumble would be something that would get him the MVP. I mean, if he got 9 sacks by himself, yeah, sure. but not just
it'd be tough for Aaron Donald to get it. I
not
think,
just one or two. That's not enough.
I just look at it as if they end up going on a feeding frenzy against Burrow here and get a Titan like 9 sacks or something like that, you got to think Donald's going to end up with 2.5, 3, something that stands out. So I mean, if I'm looking on the defensive side, I mean, you could make a case for any of them though. So nothing too off the beaten path. All right, so like I said, I've got my 40 sheets of props over here. I've circled all the ones that I like. So I'll go through those. Before I do that, do you guys have you guys kind of circled anything that you like in the prop market?
What total sacks is that? The one I was looking at?
Yeah, you said you have 4.5. I have 5.5.
Yeah.
What's the juice on the 4.5?
Plus 175.
For over?
Yeah.
What kind of weird book are you at?
I wouldn't worry about.
Are you sure Are we sure that's combined and not a team total? I know you were asking questions.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it because it's all the way at the freaking bottom here.
Hold on. I'm gonna bring up mine again because again we have different things here. Okay, so
total quarterback sacks, both teams combined.
4.5 at plus 175.
Oh, that's for the under. So the under is 175. The over is 220.
Minus 220.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's more likely. The over, I have 5.5. The over 5.5 is plus 110. That's something I might dabble in. 6 seems obtainable.
Oh yeah.
By the way, there's no price to be had on the Rams. The Rams to have most sacks is minus 225, so nothing to have there. If you'd like the Rams to get 4 sacks or more, though, you can get plus money there. It's interesting to note the Ram team total sacks is 3.5. The over is plus 105. So they're basically saying that they expect the Rams to get 3 or 4 of the 5 to 6 that they're saying for the game. Bengals team total for sacks 1.5. The over at minus 150. So there is that. Anything else you're looking at, Chico?
Not really. That's about it.
All right, Josh.
You got your coin toss.
Oh yeah. You say you going tails?
I'm going heads.
Never. Tails never fails, man.
It failed last year.
I'm going heads as well. It sure did.
It's gonna be heads this year.
All right. I was saying, well, okay. So you guys are on heads. I'll go tails to be contrarian.
I mean, if you like losing money, you'll go tails.
I'm not betting the coin toss. There's no money to be made on the coin toss.
It's true. I don't have any Gatorade colors on this one. That sucks.
I might be able to find you Gatorade colors.
Yellow.
It's gonna be blue.
Yellow, bro.
Why would it be yellow? Yellow is the worst color.
You see, Chico, you should have Gatorade props because you're in Vegas. That's the more.
Yeah, I gotta go down to a sports book and actually grab paper. I'm not trying to.
Well, sometimes you gotta put in a little work there, Chico.
I gotta do other things, I got some big game cross sports bets props. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, they always do that every year. I don't think I have a Gatorade color as I look here. Josh, do you have anything there in general?
No. In general, I just have heads on the coin toss. I have yellow Gatorade, and I had the over 5.5 sacks. That was the prop bets that I liked.
Okay, yeah. I don't have Gatorade colors in my 400 sheets here or on the online book. All right, so a couple of things as far as just stupid things that at my book, I like the Rams to score the first touchdown. I think that is juice to them scoring the first touchdown. So I'm going to try and focus on the player who's going to score. So at my establishment here, we've got Cup at 5-1 to score the first touchdown. Beckham at 8.5 to 1. I would look at those two. You could also go if you wanted to kind of cover yourself on, if the Bengals score first, you can do the jersey number. So jersey number 1 through 9 plus 240, 10 through 20, 250. So you bet those two and kind of cover yourself. All right, let's see what I've got circled here. So, first quarter. What do you, Chico, are you looking at lines in front of you right now for things?
No.
Yeah, okay. Okay, never mind. All right. So, well, I'll just use mine for reference. All right,
I got
so
first quarter.
All right, so online, I have a first quarter total of 9. On my paperwork here at my establishment, it is 9.5. The 9.5 is juiced on the under to -125. I will take the under in the first quarter. The average first quarter points in the Super Bowl is 8. Both teams generally start slow in the Super Bowl. So I'll take the under in the first quarter. Also, something that I don't have, but I know is available in certain books. If you have the opening kickoff to not be a touchback, take that as well. If you listen to the Pat McAfee show, McAfee has talked about how that first ball that they use for the kickoff is a ceremonial ball because it goes off to the Canton or wherever, and it's weighted more than so it's like kicking, like a medicine ball. So it's incredibly difficult to get a touchback with it. If the Rams are kicking off, Matt Gay has not been great with kickoffs anyway. So I like the opening kickoff to not be a touchback if you can find that. Obviously, not an option for me. Also, singling out a quarter, third quarter money line for the Bengals. The Bengals have been a terrific second half team. They have done most of their work in the third quarter. So whether or not this is a tight game or they're behind or what have you, if I'm going to try and single out a quarter for the Bengals, I'll single out the third plus 130 money line for the Bengals in the third quarter. Also, more points will be scored in. I'm going to take the second half. You have to lay 1.5 as compared to the first half, but I'll take the second half and overtime to score more points than the first half. Here's an interesting one. Total players with a pass attempt. I'm going to take over 2.5 at plus 150. We know Stafford and Burrow are going to throw a pass. There's your 2. We just need somebody else. An Odell Beckham, little toss, a fleet, a halfback, something, anything. All right. Plus 150. Yeah, plus 150, I'm willing to take a stab that somebody wants to airmail. You think Odell finally going to get to the Super Bowl and he's not in McVay's ear to let me throw one up? Plus 150, I'll take the stab. We've already talked about the total sacks. Over 5.5 at my place is minus 105, so I'm good there.
I forgot that the one I had earlier was I wanted the Bengals to score first at a plus 105 on my end.
Okay.
There's one of them I wrote down. I just can't remember what it was. I wrote it down for.
All right. So we'll get to player specifics. Cam Akers rushing yards over 61.5. I think Akers will we'll get some work in here. So I'll take the over there. Cooper Kupp under 106.5. That's right. I said under. I think the Bengals with 2 weeks, despite how good Cooper Kupp has been and despite the fact that he tears everybody up, I feel like the Bengals will do their best to try and limit him. 2 weeks, I'll take a stab at under. Beckham to score a touchdown at plus 125. Beckham has scored in basically all these games. He doesn't do much other than that, but he does score. So at plus money, I'll take him to score a touchdown. Bengals TD in the third quarter is plus 110. I already told you about Bengals money line in the third quarter, so I'll take them to score a touchdown in the third quarter. I'll take over 2.5 rushing attempts for Joe Burrow. That's plus money. Burrow's going to run for his life. Okay, the Rams are going to get to him, and he's going to have to run. So you got to think that even just getting away from the rush and scrambling for a few yards, he's going to have a few of those. So I'll take over 2.5. They might not be designed runs, but they'll count as runs.
Yeah.
So over 2.5. I'll also combine that with over 10.5 rushing yards. Same thing. He's going to have to move and just, if he scrambles a few times and gets 3 or 4 at a chunk, we're going to get over 10.5. I'm taking under 64.5 rushing yards, Joe Mixon. I don't think the Bengals are going to have much success running the football at all. Design-wise, Mixon has been under this number a ton this year. He got over last week with Kansas City thanks to the overtime. So I'll take the under there. I will take the over 25.5 receiving yards with Mixon, though. Again, I think they're going to try and get the ball out of Burrow's hands quickly. Screen passes, whatnot. So I think Mixon will do more work in the receiving game than he will on the ground. And the last thing I have is our boy, Evan Mcpherson, Mr. I'll kick us to wherever we need to go. His total field goals are over 1.5. It's juiced to minus 130, but I got a feeling Evan's going to kick us a couple. So I'll take the over there. And that's it. That's my run through the props.
What was McPherson's total? He said his total points?
No, the total field goals.
Oh, yeah, because I got McPherson's total points scored was 7.5 over under.
Yeah. His points are 7.5. To worry about his points, I'll just narrow it to field goals. I think he's going to kick 2 field goals in the game. So do it that way. All right. Anybody got anything else here?
I was thinking of taking the Rams, converting their first third down attempt. I think, yes, if they do, is like plus 125 on it.
Nobody wants the successful 2-point conversion.
I thought about it.
Nope.
I can see the Rams running the 2-point conversion, even if they're up.
Everybody jumps at that one. Alrighty. Real quickly, we can talk about some of the me and Coral kind of went through some of the coaching hires last week, but now that you guys are here, we can talk about a few. And Mr. DeLay over there, the beard, now that you're on, I can get your full views on this because I know you didn't want Harbaugh. You're happy as hell that you didn't get Harbaugh. Okay? And I know that you came on the show late last week, so you didn't hear my theory behind this. Okay? I think that your new GM called up Harbaugh for a favor. I think he wanted to show your ownership group that he had a little sway, and he said, hey, I can get Jimmy Harbaugh in here for an interview. Okay? It helps him to show that he's got a little bit of power. It helps Harbaugh have a little bit of power with Michigan. But in the end, I think for people that aren't you who didn't want Harbaugh, when you have a guy in your building for that long and you don't even make an offer, it's not a good look.
Not a good look for who?
For the Vikings.
Disagree completely. So here's the thing. The main 3 guys that the Vikings were looking at were Kevin O'Connell, Jim Harbaugh, and DeMeco Ryans. Okay. So you have those 3 guys. What do all 3 of those guys have in common? They were all on the coaching staff at San Francisco together. And our GM was on the staff at San Francisco. So these are all guys that know each other. Okay. What it came down to is the fact that Jim Harbaugh, and like I told you guys, I said this in the group chat, is Jim Harbaugh is Mike Zimmer light. Very similar coaching styles. very similar ideology. Neither one of them has been known to be good to work with when it comes to NFL players. So you bring a guy like Harbaugh in, and I think it's mainly you bring Harbaugh in as, like you said, it probably was for show. Just be like, yeah, I can get Jim Harbaugh in the building. I don't think Harbaugh ever had the intent on actually signing. I think he was just like, if I can get the band back together kind of deal. Like, if you're going to give me all the pieces that I had before, like we'll talk. But he also probably looked at it as a bargaining chip with Michigan. Although, why agree to it on National Signing Day is weird.
Well,
The fact that they
that's
didn't.
my thing. Like, of
ahead.
all the days that he could go interview and spend the day in Minnesota, that's the last one you pick.
I mean, that's maybe that decision is the reason why he didn't get offered a contract. Like, the lack of foresight to be like, it's National Signing Day. Maybe I shouldn't screw over the team that I'm currently with. Maybe I should have taken this interview a day earlier, a day later, like maybe showing your hand a little bit more. But to spend National Signing Day just to turn around and go back to Michigan and be like, I'm here next year, like, that's not a good look. That doesn't help you. So what did I say? Paul Feinbaum had a great quote about it. Like Jim Harbaugh could mess up a one-car funeral. Like, that's how dumb he is. So I think all those things put together were kind of the reasons why. But Kevin O'Connell, I said it like week 6 that he was the guy that we should be bringing in Minnesota. So the fact that we have him is very exciting to me. And we just signed the defensive coordinator from Denver. Like, that guy was doing really well, and he's built up some young talent on that Denver defense. Chico's probably not going to care. Well, you should be happy, honestly, because this just helps the Raiders. Denver's losing
we're going to
some
get to the
quality
Raiders
pieces right now. Well, no, I'm saying, like, we got Denver's DC, so we have a much younger staff coming in. We've got some guys that know how to develop talent, that can build and make things better. You got Kevin O'Connell, who does everything for the Rams offense except for call plays. And the only reason he doesn't call plays is because Sean McVay put that on himself to call plays. But he's even said Kevin could call plays and he would trust him completely. He just chooses to do it himself. So I'm fine with this hire. It's who I wanted. So if this doesn't work out, I mean, then I'm an idiot fan just like everybody else. But if it pays off, then I'm going to just ride that. And I'm going to ride that wave forever, being like, this is who I wanted. I was right. You guys were wrong. Suck it. Overall, I'm happy. I mean, this season, okay, was bad for me. But I got everything I wanted in the offseason. Sean Payton out of New Orleans. Alvin Kamara arrested. Probably not going to play in the league for a little bit. Both of those things make me very happy. Vikings got a new head coach. I got fired. We got a new GM. The only thing I can ask for now is that we don't take a DB with our first pick. As long as we don't take a DB with our first pick, I am happy, dude.
I was going to say, since you brought up the Alvin Kamara thing, unless you live under a rock, you know what happened. He had an altercation night before the Pro Bowl, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, based off of the video and whatnot, it seems like outside of a punch thrown by Kamara, it was a lot more damage done by his boys than him. So, Josh, your hopes of Kamara being suspended for eternity, I'm not sure will play out all that well. But it's Goodell, so I put nothing past him.
I didn't say for eternity. I said just for a little bit.
You might get 2 games.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
I'll take 2.
All right, so let's switch to you, Chico. You go and get Josh McDaniels. What the hell are you Did you guys miss the first 2 times he coached?
Okay. First off, Josh McDaniels is a fantastic coach. Great pickup by the Raiders. Let me tell you, this guy's going to turn the team around. He went to Denver to ruin them, all right? It was all a part of his plan. It's called the long con, okay? Rolls into, turns his plane around mid-flight, said, hey, Indianapolis, I don't want the job. I'm going back to Foxborough, okay? But no, I was a little worried when he had rumor, when I've seen some of the Raider insider things I follow about him being the potential head coach, or at least in the running. I know they brought out what's his nuts? Gerard Mayo, the old linebacker that played for him. He's on the staff at the Pats. They brought him out for a interview too. I was like, all right, cool. I'm hoping that he has grown and learned from his past mistakes. Obviously, he's even come out and said he was too young. He didn't really know what he was doing, much like most of the Bill Belichick's, minions that go off to coach. They try and be like Bill when they get there, and it never works. So I'm actually really stoked. I think he can, with that offense they want to run, with the 2 tight end set like they did back in the day with the Pats. I think we can run that. I think we have the quarterback still. We have the running game. We have a great tight end, and I'm just at this point as a Raider fan. I'll take anything right now. Let's see what happens.
You realize to run the
Can't
2
get much
tight end
worse
set,
than
you
you.
would need 2.
Have you not seen Foster Moreau's numbers when Darren Waller's been out? He may not putting up spectacular numbers, but if they do a 2 tight end set with Waller on the, Waller out there, they're gonna double team him most of the time because we really don't have any other receivers. Foster Moreau can take any safety or corner that's covering him and be able to produce and get good numbers.
I was going to say, as our wonderful scout brings up, your interim coach, whatever DeBasso or whatever his name was,
Rick Pistachio
doesn't.
So he
now
did
he ends up being the.
So he did do a interview with them. Partially, I was like, I kind of wanted him to stay, but as I've always seen in the past, when you see an interim head coach come in and then they give him a shot, the team never produces the same way they did before. Because he's on the short season, he's trying to, they want the team can either just fall apart and just say, F it, we're going to just start booking our vacations, or like the Raiders did, decide to turn around and, hey, let's win for this guy. But is that going to proceed to the next season and further?
Here's the only caveat I would say is normally when we get these interim head coaches, they're taking these 1-2 win teams that then all of a sudden win a couple of games down the stretch and look like, oh, well, there were a lot. I mean, he took a team that was in the middle of nowhere and got them to the playoffs. And, could have potentially won a playoff game. I mean, that's a little different.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm very surprised at the same time. But from what I've read and kind of seen is that, yes, some of the big name players did vouch for him and wanted to come back. There are some behind the, in the locker room players that were not as fond of Pistachio, Rick, whatever his name is, as everyone else was. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe this will be a new term, or like I said earlier, or not earlier, but I've been mentioning to other Raider fans is like, hey, Patriots done it so well. Let's just all go in Patriot way. Bring in the GM, bring in a Bill Belichick disciple. Let's go.
Scout, if you listened, I already said he's the special teams coordinator in Green Bay now, not somewhere else. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you expect Gunner to listen to you? He doesn't.
Come on, the guy's never listened to anything.
Yeah.
Listen, I messaged him this morning because our wonderful scout over there put out an article this morning on the Minnesota Vikings.
A trash one?
Taking Byron Jones. Hey, I mean, it's a Vikings article, so I'm going to read it. But how, and he gave me an excuse, but as much as I talk about the Vikings and I say the word skull, you would think you'd spell it right in your article. That's disrespectful. I don't appreciate it. You can tell me it was your editor all you want.
Look who we're talking about.
I was like, the guy can't even listen to the priest at his own wedding. I mean, come on.
Which one?
All of them. As far as the Giants.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about the Giants.
I was like, we're caught up in the whole Brian Flores. But outside of that, got a GM, got a coach, got got the Ravens defensive coordinator to come in. Got all like the coaching staff looks good. The roster itself still looks
Now
a
you
little
just need
crummy,
players.
But, I was saying, building from the outside in. We're making things happen.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You guys need to trade Saquon. That's the first priority going into the offseason.
I said that last week. I would trade Saquon. I mean, you're not gonna sign him long term. What's
the dumb thing about these teams? Not saying your team is dumb, but these teams that have players that they could obviously trade. Odell Beckham. They could at least got some picks out of the Rams if they really wanted to bring him there, but no. Some of them are too stubborn. They're like, we're not going to do anything. We're going to keep him. Oh, let's just release him for nothing.
By the way, nobody killing the Giants for that Odell deal now. Just saying.
When he got traded, plus when he got traded from the Giants, I was like, this is a good move, like for both teams. Get him out of New York, get him in a new environment. They clear up cap space, they can do what they want. But
what? Oh, all right. So since the scout wants to ask this, let's go down the road. What do I think I could legit get for Barkley? I'll tell you what I could get for Barkley.
$2 and a Snickers.
I'm not going to get I'm not going to get a Pro Bowler. But look at the Odell deal. Okay? Something similar to that. Can I get a serviceable to above average offensive lineman along with a second, third round pick, something in that area? Probably. Somebody would take that shot on Saquon.
You send Saquon, Daniel Jones, and 2 first-round picks, you can have yourself Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. No, thank you.
Well, that's why you're not the GM, okay?
Russell Wilson runs for his life. Why the hell am I putting him behind my offensive line?
Look, he wins games still.
No, really? Where was Seattle in the postseason?
Where were the Giants in the postseason?
Russ. Here's the thing, and I like Russ. Russ hasn't been Russ since Marshawn left.
True, but a guy like Russ will get players to come play for you guys in New York.
Nobody's coming to.
Nobody wants to go to New York. It's not even in New York. It's New Jersey.
Besides, the Giants are $40 million over the cap. They can't bring anybody in anyway.
If they get rid of some guys, they can.
Well, like I said, trim for the outside. Quickly, I don't want to dive more into the Flores thing, but since you guys are
Giants situation.
So Bieniemy again doesn't get a job.
How?
That idiot Allen is the coach in New Orleans now.
Dennis Allen?
I almost have as many career wins as he does as a coach.
I definitely have more than him in Madden. So
here's the thing about Brian Flores' case, whatever. He's calling out what is very evident. Nobody's hiding the fact that the Rooney Rule doesn't work. Diversity in the NFL sucks. All of that. Okay? He needs to prove it. Okay? He needs to show that the claim with Stephen Ross and the money is legit. He needs a smoking gun, not the, hey, look, the black people aren't getting hired. Okay? We see that already. That's not a secret. Goodell already got out in front of it and said, yeah, we know our thing doesn't work. Like, go ahead and take us to court for that. We know it's flawed. We'll fix it. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Bieniemy didn't get hired, and I was very surprised today that they let go of Flores down in Florida. What you guys, I don't know what they do down there.
You know who got it work? All right, Flores, who had 2 winning seasons. All right, mind you, they were 1-7, then won 7 straight games, and he has a winning record against Bill Belichick. So that's right, but they want to call it a power struggle between him and Greer and Tua and blah, 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 blah. So they sold that. You know who got a raw deal? What was his name? McNally at the Texans. Okay?
Yes.
That roster has nothing. Okay? He had 1 year to work with a nothing roster. They actually played to expectations, maybe even above expectations. I mean, they won, 4 games? Something like that? I mean, what were they expecting? And then they fire him? That's a raw deal. That's worse than Flores.
Oh yeah, that roster was
Did Leftwich
completely
get a job?
terrible. Which one?
Leftwich? He didn't get a job either, did he?
No,
No,
Leftwich pulled out of the Jacksonville job, you know,
and then they
right
brought in
after
Doug
that whole
Peterson.
thing. Yeah. Nick Foles to Jacksonville?
Probably.
Why not? Call
Be
it
the
Couldn't
backup
bring
to
him
Lawrence.
Alabama, so, yeah, put him as a backup to Lawrence.
That would be a great guy for him to learn under, actually.
I mean, I'd prefer Fitzpatrick, but
What's
Foles,
that
I
name you're
suppose.
trying to spell,
What?
Scout? McDabbles?
What?
that's a combination
What?
of Dabble and McDaniels.
The last time I saw
McDabbles.
Fitz, he was shirtless in Buffalo with Bill's Mafia.
Hell yeah!
Oh, that's the other thing. Daniel Snyder is a piece of garbage to begin with. There's a new sexual assault lawsuit against him every day. We get that. But, you got forced out of the Redskin name. We went with this whole team thing for a couple of years. And then you finally come up with a team name, and it's garbage. The commies?
I dig the fact that they went from offending a race to naming their team after the people that enslaved a race. That's so much fun.
That's a Daniel Snyder move, though. Have you not met the guy?
100%.
I haven't, but I heard he's cool at parties.
I feel bad for Ron Rivera, dude. Like, Ron Rivera's trying real hard and doing a good job, and he's just got incompetence all around him. It's sad.
Ron Rivera's got to be like, I'm beating cancer for this. What the hell?
Yeah. Come on, guys. Let's get it together. Let's figure it out.
Like, could you guys
That
put in half
man-
the work that
That man didn't he take he took a Cam Newton to the Super Bowl.
He did. Talk
And
about blind
Cam
Newton
sport, but yeah.
Just watched the ball when he fumbled, just looked at it.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Because what's the meme going around? It's Patrick Mahomes diving for that fumble, showing
Yep.
like that's a team player, and then Cam Newton just walking away. But that's been Cam Newton since college. Like, he did that stuff at Auburn, too, so
And
no
Florida.
one cares about Cam Newton anymore. And in Florida. And at Mississippi State.
Or Auburn.
Mississippi State.
Yeah, he was initially slated to go to Mississippi State, and then he got all that money to go to Florida, and then he left Florida to go to Auburn. Yeah.
Well, he went to Texas Community College first, then went to Auburn.
You know what he didn't get? An NIL.
Yeah.
He got him before they were cool, dude. When they were illegal.
By the way,
He got that
speaking
Reggie
of the
Bush
NIL.
NIL deal.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's true. That's true. Reggie Bush doesn't have a Heisman, though.
Yeah, he does.
Good.
Not in his house.
NCAA can say what they want, but in my book, he has one.
Herb Street was talking about the NIL the other day, and I thought he made a good point that like everybody's kind of overlooked. When the NIL was created, it was created for guys that were already in school that were already sort of like established brands. So like the Caleb Williams of the world, or guys of that ilk. Guys that have already played, on the field, being, top tier, guys like that. And instead it's being used as a recruitment tool, which we talked about on this show. We knew as soon as the NIL got approved, it was going to be the wild, wild west, and that's what Dion used it for, and other schools have used it for. And it is what it is. But how do we feel about what Herb Street said? Do we think that the NIL needs to be refined and restructured in a way that it benefits the, kind of proven college athletes already, guys that they're, their own brands already, or should it be used as a recruitment tool that it's being used as now?
I would like it more as a tool for guys that have already established themselves. I mean, again, I don't care if it's used as a recruitment tool because you might get a player at your team that you like, but I think it was more meant for what Herb Street said. I like the idea of like this guy's already put the work and he's done this and that. He's known around campus, nationwide, Heisman candidate, stuff like that. He should be getting these NIL deals, not these kids that are going to come in, possibly not even start, transfer to another school because they don't start because they can't handle being behind someone for a few years.
I'm going to disagree with both of you, mainly because what's that kid's name? Travis, the guy that's going to play for Dion at the HBCU. Like,
Yeah,
that
like
kid got
the number one recruit that he got.
Yeah, so like everything is a recruiting tool these days. NIL is just the latest thing on there. TikTok, for God's sakes, is a recruiting tool because Notre Dame's old head coach at LSU lost a guy because he did TikTok dance with a recruit.
By the way, I just want to state that whatever Brian Kelly is doing right now, that's not the guy that was at Notre Dame. I just want to point that out. Not that like he left some marbles in South Bend. They didn't travel down to the bayou.
I believe that.
So the scouts in here saying you can adjust it, like put it in tiers. No, like that's no company is going to want to do that. So that
well, not just that,
no players going to want to sign up for that.
Also that, but I mean, if you're cheering it, you're trying to incentivize kids to stay in school. And if a kid is good enough, is that top tier enough to get an NIL, by the time he's a junior, he's going to want to go to the NFL anyway. He doesn't give a shit about your NIL. So it defeats the purpose.
He might not know that, though.
Well, he's a little slow. All right. So we have UFC 271 tomorrow night. The beard over here is a brand new, freshly minted writer over there at Bloody Elbow. So
not Bloody Elbow. Not Bloody Elbow.
No. What is it? I got it wrong.
It's just Fansided's MMA channel. Bloody Elbow is SB Nation. So, but yes, I do. I'm officially on. I'm a paid contributor for Fansided's MMA site. So,
okay,
officially on the paid writing.
Keyword.
I'm a paid writer now.
Keyword on that is paid. Paid people. Moolah. Yeah. So, do you have anything up currently for the people to read, or is that being worked on as we speak?
It's being worked on right now. I'm still getting access to everything. I've been working on it throughout the week. I do have one article that's completely written, most likely going to get put up this weekend. You're not going to see anything from me. Yes, thank you, Gunner. Gunner was the one that put me onto it. Helped kind of get my foot in the door.
Gunner, with the fan side. Shush.
No, but I mean, legit, he did help. So I'll give him props where props is due. But I do have, I have one article that's in the works right now. Going forward, I'm going to try and do kind of the same thing I do on here. I'm going to try and write my bets and put some betting articles out for UFC and just get some of those out there. Try and get some people some money that way too. I don't have anything out yet, but this weekend probably I'll post it on the Twitter when it comes out.
There you go.
And yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. But yep, as of Tuesday, officially paid contributor at Fansided for MMA.
Yeah. Paid. I'll say already making more money than Gunner.
Thumbs up.
Unlikely, but yeah.
So before we talk about the fights and get to your parlay, we're already with Tom. We're not even at the end of the show. It's coming. We have to talk about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is on the. Yeah, apparently I can't tell
I was like, huh, Joe Rogan, huh?
Yeah, you know, the G and the H are next to each other. Sorry. So Rogan is on the Chucky plan right now, as far as saying things you're not allowed to, and there's a lot of backlash there in the Spotify universe. Some of his episodes got taken down. Some people were like, well, we're getting on Spotify as long as Rogan's on here, yada, yada, yada. But now the blacklisting has funneled its way all the way down. And tomorrow night will be the first time in a long time, Josh, that Joe Rogan will not be on commentary.
Well, commentary domestically. So he
Yes.
stepped back a couple years ago where he was traveling wherever they went. He was at each pay-per-view. He hasn't done an international one in about 3-4 years. But for him to not commentate on a pay-per-view in Vegas, yeah, this is, oh man, since like UFC 4, like the first time where he's had nothing to do with it. It's been a very long time. Now, I told both of you this, and I'll say it on here just for the brevity of it. But 15 years ago, I made a Facebook group called UFC Please Fire Joe Rogan, because he said something about Tech Congo. Or he basically said, if you want to know which fighter's which, the fighter in the black shorts is black and the fighter in the white shorts is white. And you could tell Mike Goldberg and everybody was kind of, huh?
I said, so he made a comment like that, but now we're stunned that he said that word 70 times.
Well, and it's a total hit piece. I mean, let's be honest here. Somebody took the time to put all of those together and put it out, and they're really just throwing darts at the dartboard and seeing what sticks. This just happened to be what stuck, but it didn't, and it did. That's what's weird, because you have guys like Dave Chappelle and the middleweight champion coming out and being like, I don't care what y'all say. That's not who Joe Rogan is. And I mean, you just can't say that word, and that's fine. Like, he's got to own up to it, and he at least came out and did apologize for it. So I think he's taking it in stride, and he's kind of handling it the right way. I'm not mad at the UFC for doing it. Like, I understand completely why they're doing it. They have to cover their bottom line. Do I think Joe Rogan's done in the UFC? No, absolutely not. They might pull him off for a couple of fight cards, let this all die down and blow over, and he'll be back. Because I haven't heard a single UFC athlete come out and say, I will not fight if Joe Rogan's on the call. Like, I haven't heard it from anybody. So I think this is just let's take a step back from Joe for now, and then he'll be back in a little bit. The biggest thing about this is getting Michael Bisping on a pay-per-view call. And Michael Bisping probably says more outlandish things than Joe Rogan. So I don't really understand the
strategy. That's my dog right there. They didn't bring K-Flow in?
That's what I was going to ask. So I assume it's going to be Bisping and DC?
Bisping, DC, and John Anik, yeah.
Bisping and DC fight each other.
So here would be, since we're talking about prop bets, here would be a good prop bet. Okay, so obviously I would assume we're gonna get more DC doing the post-fight interviews than we are Bisping. Just based off of what I normally see. So I wonder how many of these post-fight interviews that DC does do we get somebody mentioning Rogan?
Probably about half.
Like, I would say, so you expect fighters to be at the front line here supporting Rogan, on a pay-per-view in which he's basically been told, do not show.
Yes. I think for sure, if Derrick Lewis and Izzy win, they both bring it up for sure. So it could be
Well,
depending on
we
who
are
wins the fight.
That too, yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously, depending on who wins the fight. But all right, so we are about to get to Josh's parlay here, which he just brought up Derrick Lewis and Israel Adesanya. I have a feeling one, if not both, will be on this parlay. But what is this? Does Gunnar realize that UFC and ESPN are like basically not together outside of like the little ESPN Plus preliminaries? Like UFC could care less about ESPN at this point. ESPN's got no control over what UFC is doing.
Well, true. I mean, ESPN gives them a bigger platform, so you get. I mean, for a while, you had guys like Ariel Helwani getting bigger platforms because of it. Brett Okamoto has always kind of been the MMA guy at ESPN. No one sees or really hears from him on TV, so no one really cares about him at all. All the guys that Gunnar brings up were all on UFC Tonight when it was still with Fox. So this is all old Fox product that the UFC just brought on to keep on.
Gunner's got satellite. He gets like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't anybody quite like Rogan, and that's why Rogan stuck around for so long. That's why Mike Goldberg was around for so long too. Those guys had a personality. They had a way of going about it. Joe has kind of been that glue for a very long time. John Anik, though, is honestly the best commentator the UFC has. Like John Anik is better than Rogan. He's better than DC. He's better than Bisping. He's better than everybody. As long as you have John Anik, you can maintain. You'll be fine.
To your point, the the shows that Rogan wasn't traveling to, I was hearing Anik and DC do it, and like I'm so used to the non-Rogan shows that like I don't feel like I'm going to be greatly affected tomorrow night with a missing Rogan. I'm used to Anik and DC and even Bisping now and again, so I don't feel like that combo is going to feel any different to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only thing you're really missing is Joe's reaction and Joe's interviews. Like Rogan's the better interviewer because Rogan knows what questions to ask and when. DC's kind of on that level too, just not it's not the same dynamic because DC doesn't hold the same star power in that role as Rogan does. But Anik and DC on the call have a great flow. They have a great everything that they do is very well put together, and they have a good chemistry. When Dominic Cruz comes on there, it's a little weird. But Dominic Cruz, like in and of himself, is weird. Bisping, I think, could be a guy that could fill Rogan's shoes as far as reactions go, and things of that nature. I could see him doing okay. I think he's going to be more brash than Rogan, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I agree with you though, Dan. We've seen enough without Rogan that it's not going to feel weird. It's just going to be like you're losing that little something that you always look forward to. But the product in and of itself isn't going to change that much.
You guys listen to the commentary where they're fighting? Because I don't hear anything when they're fighting.
I watch it at home, man. So like when I watch it at home, I get the commentary, but I'm normally just talking myself. So
it's like a crazy person.
There's been plenty of times where me and Josh are watching a pay-per-view and me and Josh are talking to each other more than we're paying attention to anything that's going on with, as far as what they're saying. So that's that. All right. So Josh, before you give the whole parlay out here, we're just gonna go through the three main big fights here on the main card. So we'll save the big fight for last. So let's start with the two kind of coin flip fights. So we've got Jared. I'm gonna say these names wrong, so I mean that's just what I do on this show. Jared Cannonier versus Derrick Brunson. Cannonier is a small favorite, -160. Brunson is a +140. I feel like we should be on the favorite here? Agree? Disagree?
It's tough. Cannonier's kind of been in that upper echelon for a while, and Derrick Brunson has too. Both of these guys have been around. They've fought, I think they fought each other. I don't remember exactly when, but I mean they're both vying for a title shot here. That's what this is. This is a number one contender fight. Israel Adesanya has said for quite some time that Cannonier is the next man up, but Cannonier never seems to be able to seal the deal. They said if he beats Whitaker, he's getting a title shot. If he beats Vittori, he's getting a title shot. If he beats this guy, he gets a title shot. And it's very much like a Cowboy Cerrone type situation where like he's there, he's just not getting that shot yet. Derrick Brunson's on a 3-fight win streak, which a lot of people, the scout included, hold as like the end all be all when it comes to his chances, because he's on a 3-fight win streak. He's going to walk through Cannonier. He's going to beat him. Stylistically, very close. So honestly, you could go either way. I wouldn't be mad at somebody who took Derrick Brunson for the right reasons. They both have their strengths and weaknesses. It's really going to come down to who has a better game plan and who just executes a little bit better. I don't see it being a finish. It's going to be a unanimous. It's going to be either a split decision or a unanimous decision. I don't see it being a finish fight. So no submission, no knockout. It's just going to be who's going to grind it out more. I'm going to save that one. I'll save who I think is going to win that one for my parlay, because I do have that listed on there. But that fight could go either way.
Interesting to note, you said you liked the decision. The over is just minus 105. They actually have the under 2.5 more juiced in that fight. So you in the decision is a bit of a juicy play there. But okay, move on to the fight after that. Derrick Lewis and Tai Tuivasa. I think most people know Tuivasa at this point for his drinking out of somebody's shoe after his victories. And as much as everybody loves Tuivasa and the shoe thing afterwards, the only thing I can say for any certainty with this fight is it's going to be a banger. I think that's for certain. Let me bring this up real quick. DraftKings doesn't expect this fight to last very long. The under 1.5 is minus 170. So they expect bombs and bombs quickly in this fight. Also, I think both of these guys, even Tuivasa to a point, the gas tank isn't built for long stretches anyway. So, Josh, I know you want to save your picks here for the end here, but any quick analysis on Lewis and Tuivasa?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it's going to be a quick fight. I think if it goes past the first round, we're looking at probably a Derrick Lewis victory. If it's a first round stoppage, it's most likely Tuivasa, just because Tuivasa hasn't done well down the stretch in previous fights. And we've seen Derrick Lewis come back from like the brink of defeat with less than 30 seconds. I can't remember the exact time, but it was not much time left. He throws a haymaker, knocks the guy out after getting absolutely destroyed for 2 rounds. So I know that Derrick Lewis, even in a late round fight, can come back and win with one shot. Tuivasa, we really haven't been able to see that with. I do have the guy that I think is going to win this fight. But again, like both of these are toss-ups, honestly. You could pick either one and you wouldn't really hurt. I would definitely take, what did you say, it was under 1.5 was juiced?
Under 1.5 is heavily juiced.
Yeah. That's the right play. You could definitely take the over, and if you take the over, take Derrick Lewis. So that would be
take the over. Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said, bud.
I said that if you take the over you're holding your breath and praying, because
Yes.
I was gonna say the first 2 minutes of that fight, you're gonna feel like the bet is lost, because it's just gonna be a bomb after bomb after bomb situation.
Yeah. Then I mean the difference here is there's really two key differences in this fight, and one is age, and the other one is durability. So one guy can afford to come out and swing big, one can't, and neither one of these guys have a super strong chin, but there is definitely one that has a stronger chin than the other one, and so it's gonna be quick, it's gonna be good most likely, but 90% of the times I say that and everybody else says that they're gonna be good, they end up being slow. So if you wanted to put like a $10 bet on the over 1.5, it might pay out for you. You might do pretty well on that. I wouldn't put my breath on it. I wouldn't get excited for it, but you could throw it out there, and it's not
Plus
a bad
140
bet.
on the over.
Plus 140. That's not terrible.
Yeah. Not the worst thing. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll get to your parlay here in a moment, but obviously we have to talk about the main event, Adesanya and Whitaker. Adesanya, I saw you put in our chat, came to the presser with a what was it? It was like a chain that showed his victory over Whitaker the first time.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So
It just replayed the knockout.
Let me put it this way. Adesanya's ego is barely fitting in the door at this point. It's certainly gotten up there. What I will say is that despite his ego ballooning, Adesanya has the one thing that I was concerned about in the rematch, Adesanya has talked about, and I feel like he's prepared for it, which is I think Whitaker was really rushed in the first fight. I think he'll be a lot more patient in this fight with Adesanya. And Adesanya's talked about that. And he said a lot in going through his sparring and his training. He's realized that there were moments where if he did that in the fight, Whitaker would have an opportunity. And he said he's prepared for that, and he's ready for Whitaker to be, more patient and whatnot, and he's ready to just put Whitaker out again. So all of the little concerns I have for Whitaker pulling off an upset, it seems like Israel has already played out in his mind, which, if you needed any more comfort on betting on Izzy in this fight, I feel like that is it. But Josh, I'll let you see if there's anything different that you're feeling here.
The only other thing with this, Izzy got exposed. Okay, when he fought Jan Blachowicz, he fought a bigger guy who was able to get him down and keep him down. Whitaker is not a bigger guy. I mean, he's thicker, he's built, but he's a shorter guy. If he's able to take Izzy down and keep Izzy down, which no one has really successfully done until Jan Blachowicz, then Whitaker has a chance. Like, he could try and test the gas tank after keeping Izzy down for a while, beat on him that way, and see where it goes. I don't think Adesanya has an ego so much. Like, I think that that's just a head game that he likes to play, and he's flashy. He likes to show off. But, I mean, he's a humble guy at the end of the day, and he's not stupid. Like, you look at when he fought Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero was probably a nightmare of a fight for him to get ready for. Yoel Romero pissed away his opportunity, okay? So Romero should have just tried to take him down, and just beat on him. Instead, he stood there and wanted to counterpunch with Izzy, which if you want to stand and counterpunch with Izzy, you're an idiot. You're going to lose that fight. Whitaker's not going to be able to do that. I don't think Izzy's going to try and push the pace against Whitaker. And if Whitaker wants to stay back and be patient, you're going to see shades of that Yoel Romero fight. But if you see Whitaker kind of come in and be more aggressive and throw some accurate shots and try and work the clinch a little bit, get him up against the cage, try and take him down. Izzy is a Muay Thai guy, but Whitaker is no slouch. And yes, he did get rocked pretty hard. Yes, he did get knocked out, but he was getting knocked out. He got knocked out trying to come in. He was coming in kind of wild and he felt rushed. If he's playing more patient and picks in times his shots better, he still has a chance. I don't think that the outcome is going to be too much different than the first fight, but I definitely think it's more interesting and more competitive this time. Whitaker's got more time to plan. Izzy's had some flaws show through now, so it's going to be a closer fight. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a very exciting fight, but it'll be good. But I think the outcome is not going to be a shock to anybody.
I would. You're going to give your parlay here in a second, but just for that fight in particular, I'm on DraftKings. I'm looking at Izzy to win by decision at plus 150. That would probably be the route I'm going to go. I think that much like what you said, I think Izzy's not going to want to push the pace. I think Whitaker also is going to try and be patient and kind of find his area, his openings. And I think this will make for as you said, I don't think this is going to be an overly exciting fight. I think Adesanya is going to win this more on a champion's advantage than anything overly overwhelming in this fight. When you watch the fight, you might think, this is a pretty close fight or whatever, but for Whitaker, it can't be a close fight. Whitaker needs to leave no doubt if he wants to walk out with the belt, and I just don't think that's going to happen. So I would look at Izzy by decision at plus 150. But let's get to your parlay. What's the parlay looking like?
So I've got a 6-fight parlay for us here. And Chico was listing off some names that he had on his list. And I pretty much have the exact opposite, except for
it was a very interesting conversation pre-show.
It was a very one-word answer from me on every single fight Chico was talking about. It was just no.
Lock it in.
So we'll start at the bottom here, and we'll work our way up. So I've got Renato Moicano. He's a minus 160. I like him in that fight. Let me pull up the actual fights so I make sure I get the fighters' names and everything correct here.
I was gonna say I gotta what fights we're talking about here. Okay, so Moicano against Hernandez is the fight you're referring to. Moicano. What did you have it at? What do you have Moicano at?
Minus 160 on DraftKings.
Okay, yep, 160. Okay.
Let me see here. Yep, so I have that one, and then against Alex Hernandez. Oh shit, I went out of order. That's okay. Chico was very big on Andrei Arlovsky, just because that's probably the only name he knows on this entire fight card other than Israel Adesanya.
I don't even know who that is.
Well, that's fine. You said Andrei Arlovsky was going to win. He is the favorite, minus 140. I think that this is an easy dog bet. I think Jared Vanderaa is going to win this one pretty easily. I think it's going to be a knockout first or second round. He is plus 120, so it's not great. Like you're talking minus 140 plus 120, so not big money on that one. But I like Vanderaa at the plus 120. I think it's an easy one for him. Yeah,
I would say for the people, if they want to tweak your parlay here a little bit, if you want to get dangerous with the Vanderaa and you don't like the plus 120, you said you like him by knockout. Switch it to knockout plus 350.
There you go.
Do it.
I'll probably put that in as a side option. When I'll tweet this out later, but yeah, that's not bad. The knockout plus 350, that's pretty good. Let's see.
All right.
Next fight here is Bobby Green and Nasrat Haqparast. I like Nasrat Haqparast. I think this kid's got a lot of talent that he's about to show on Bobby Green. Bobby Green's no slouch for a guy this young, but I think that drive is there. I think he's part of this wave of, the Dagestanis, Russians, that Middle Eastern guys coming over and just wrestling with all that power and just controlling guys on the ground and beating them up a little bit. I think Nasrat's right in there. This is another close fight as well. I think this goes decision, but he's a plus 125 against Bobby Green. Bobby Green, I think, is minus 145. Yeah, minus 145. Yes. So I like him as a dog. I think that one's a little bit closer. That could, I'm thinking decision. I think it's a unanimous decision, but it could be a split. We'll see what Bobby Green shows up. But Nasrat, I think, he's a pretty easy dog to bet on in this one. It wouldn't be a bad bet for sure.
Your Nasrat by decision plus 250. So you could double your money if you want to go to the decision route.
There you go. Said plus 250.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm just writing that down too. Okay. Now we're moving on to the big three. So the three that we just talked about. Cannonier Brunson. I'm going to take Cannonier as the dog just because I can. Or no, I'm sorry. He's the favorite. My bad. I'm going to take him. I'm going to take him just based on his cred. I mean, his last loss was to Whitaker, and then he comes out and beats Kelvin Gastelum. So Kelvin Gastelum is the guy that's given Adesanya the toughest fight possible at 185. That fight was a fight for the ages. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. You can find it on YouTube for free. So watch that if you want to see what I'm talking about. But, Robert Whitaker has the style to beat Cannonier. Cannonier is he's well-rounded, but he can pick guys apart. And what he did to Gastelum kind of showed that he is ready for the next level. Derrick Brunson being on a 3-fight win streak just isn't enough to sell me. He has the skill set to win this fight. So like I said, it could go either way, but I like Cannonier as the favorite. As far as a parlay goes, if I had to put money on a parlay, I'm putting it on Cannonier. I think he's finally going to get his shot at Whitaker or Adesanya. So whoever wins that fight, he's got a shot. And I think if he fights Whitaker again, he beats Whitaker. So my money's on Cannonier. I think he's just the better fighter of the two. 2 fights left here. Tai Tuivasa and Derrick Lewis. I'm taking Tai Tuivasa. He's younger. He's got the power. He's more aggressive. And he's just been the better fighter of these two. I think that he's going to come out. He has this new confidence. He's been knocking guys out, been really successful in his game plan. He's finishing fights early. I think that he is going to come out and win this in the first round. Derrick Lewis hasn't looked like the Derrick Lewis of 2-3 years ago. He's slower. He's a little bit more sluggish. He hasn't really – I don't think he's really trying for a title so much anymore. It just doesn't feel like he's – it doesn't feel like he's committed to it anymore. So I think Tuivasa wins this one and wins it pretty easily, probably within the first 2.5 minutes. If I had to guess, I would say less than 2.5 minutes on this one. And he's a plus 150. So he's the dog. But I think that he's a good dog to take. And
slightly more on the key on the KO for Tuivasa at 225.
Makes sense. But I mean, that fight could honestly go either way. So I'm more confident that Cannonier beats Brunson than I am that Tuivasa beats Lewis. But that's just because I know if Tuivasa can't knock him out early, that Tuivasa's in trouble. So we haven't seen him go the distance in quite some time. Heavyweights do tire early, but we've seen Derrick Lewis come on strong at the end of fights. And he just has really fast recovery. He's able to use that minute of downtime in between really, really well to come out strong and put pressure on in those late rounds. So Tuivasa, early finish, I think. If it goes past that round and a half, it's Derrick Lewis all day, in my opinion. Main event, Adesanya, minus 280. Probably the easiest bet on this entire card. Also why he's the biggest favorite of the ones on my parlay. I have a minus 280 on DraftKings right now. Izzy doesn't look like anybody at 185 is going to be able to beat him right now, unless Gastelum starts coming back and beating guys to get another title shot. I don't see anybody right now beating him. If Usman comes up to 185, that's a fight. That's interesting for Usman. I could see Izzy getting in a little bit of trouble there. But Whitaker, I think Whitaker just doesn't have the style, doesn't have the skill level to hang with Izzy for 5 rounds. Izzy can pick him apart. Izzy's fought harder guys than Whitaker before, and he's fought guys that hit harder than Whitaker. So I don't see anything in Whitaker's game that tells me he can beat Izzy at the level that Izzy's at right now. So Adesanya minus 280. I think you said earlier that it was like, where's it juiced right now? Is it juiced on a finish or is it juiced on a decision?
Let me see here. So if you wanted, so Adesanya, you don't really get a good price anyway. If you're looking at the rounds, it's juiced to a decision. Over 4.5 is minus 130. As far as if you're looking for a method of victory for Adesanya, you don't get a great price anywhere unless you think for some reason Izzy's going to submit him, which nobody here does. Adesanya by decision is plus 150, by KO is plus 165. So take your pick. Not a huge difference in price there.
Yeah, and either one is plausible. The submission's kind of out there. I wouldn't go that route. So I would probably just take the unanimous decision just to be safe.
I mean, that would probably be the easiest bet. Yeah, like I said, I think this is going to be a boring fight, so I would take him by decision and then just take the plus 150.
Yeah,
I have a very small, chalky. And when I say chalky, I mean incredibly chalky parlay here for this card. But it is slight plus money somehow. I didn't think this would be plus money when I put it in, but it is slightly plus money. So, all right. Izzy at the minus 280. You and me agree there. All right. And then I went with 2 of the bigger favorites on this card that you kind of, it wasn't on your parlay, and probably because they're just 2 heavy favorites, but I don't think you're going to argue with me on either guy here. So I'm going to take Casey O'Neill against Modafferi. O'Neill, a heavy favorite at minus 400. But I think it's a deserved. And another heavy favorite, but again, I think it's a deserved fight, is I'm going to take Kyler Phillips against Marcela Rojo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody on this 3-fight pick here is in any serious danger of losing. And if you just, and we've talked about, you could go a different route with the Izzy thing. And I mean, if you wanted to go look into O'Neill and Phillips a little closer and go a different route to squeeze some money out of, that's fine. But if you just take standard money lines here, this is plus 107. So you are slightly doubling your money still. And I think that is as sure a thing as we're going to get here. So,
Now you do have to be careful with that Modafferi fight. Like, I get that she's at plus 300 right now. That chick beats people she's not supposed to beat all the time. So that's a bit of a trap. I would be careful on that one. Like, you want the ultimate dog bet? Bet $5 on Modafferi to win at plus 300. And if you lose, you're out $5. But if you win, you're gonna be real happy. That'll be a nice little bump to your bank account. Never count her out when she's that big of a dog. Yeah,
I'll say 5.
Hey, man,
calm down.
That's fine.
It's more money than you had before.
Ask anybody in the military. $20 is $20. That's a case of beer right there.
Okay? That sounds like something you and Dale were doing.
Don't worry about what Dale and I were doing.
All right.
Oh, I got the
business
for you right here.
I will take your heat of caution. I will look more into that O'Neill Modafferi fight before I go ahead and pull the trigger. I will heed your caution there. I mean, you are the paid writer here. I have to, if you're telling me to pause a little bit, I have to take
Don't take my word
I have
for it
to
just
take-
because I'm a paid writer. Because if I miss, I'll be the first one to come out and say I fucked up. So that's the difference between me. and some of the
trust me,
other
we'll
people.
point that out as well.
Oh,
We'll be the first one to
100%.
put- I was gonna say, so that's fine. All right, so Chico was pretty silent during the UFC segment as always. So let's switch to something in which Chico can talk about, and Josh would be pretty silent, which is the NBA, because Josh hates the NBA. So it finally happened, Chico. Ben
It did.
Simmons has been him, Andre Drummond, Seth Curry, a couple of picks go to Brooklyn for Millsap and James Harden. I'm gonna say exactly what I said when the trade went down. I think the Sixers are a worse team today than they were yesterday, and I think the Nets, if they can get Simmons up and running, which according to Simmons, his mental fragility has suddenly gone away and he's ready to get on a court and play some basketball. I think that the Nets are a better team with Simmons than they were with Harden.
I would say yes on that. Honestly, the only downfall that Simmons has, he can't shoot a three.
But
okay, like you have.
But see, that's with the Nets. They don't need like the Sixers
that's the
needed
thing.
Simmons to.
That's the thing I'm saying is like the Nets win on this because he's not going to have to shoot a three. You get Kyrie there to shoot threes, Durant there to shoot threes. Have him play, if he still wants to play guard, go ahead. But he's a tall guy. Put him down in the post. He can play in the paint and he can pass the ball. He's good at that. Like he is really good. Like the Nets are going to be a better team without James Harden. I love James Harden, the guy with the ASU, of course. So big fan of him. But you're right on that. I don't think the Sixers, they got a big name, but I don't think they got better. Millsap's just going to be there to eat a few minutes here and there and try to get some garbage time in. The guy's not the same player he was with Utah years ago.
No, I mean Millsap's basically there to kind of fill in for when they give Embiid rest here down the stretch.
Yeah,
but my thing was, all right, you lose Curry, so you lose the 3-point shooter, all right, and they don't have a whole lot of outside shooters already, and Embiid hated Simmons. How is Embiid going to get along with Harden, especially come the playoffs, when Embiid's sitting there in the paint asking for the ball and Harden shooting threes and 18-foot jump shots all day? I don't see, we saw a very small glimpse of Harden, the facilitator, when he first got to Brooklyn. Everybody said, oh, look at James Harden and how he's changed his game and blah, blah, blah. And that quickly went away. The same thing here. Okay, this is no different. Okay, James Harden's going to take about 5 minutes to realize that once he lands in Philly, there are both a Delilah's and a Club Risque about 20 minutes away from the stadium. So he doesn't have to go far for his needs.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, as a Bull fan, okay, this makes the Nets better. And I was, the Nets were always somebody that, when Durant's on the roster, you have to be aware of, especially with Kyrie. But, the Sixers, who have been a thorn in the side of the Bulls this year, I feel like this makes the Sixers a worse team and it helps the Bulls. So by all means, I'm down for it.
I'm hoping Ben Simmons gets out there quick so we can see him and he can start playing basketball. I mean, the guy is talented. He's good, but yeah, the Sixers aren't going to be the team that they thought they were last year. But who knows? Things could change, but I doubt things were going to change the way Harden's been playing the game.
The other big thing was Sacramento. Sacramento finally gets rid of Buddy Hield, who they apparently never liked. But they traded Tyrese Halliburton to get Sabonis from Indiana. Now, there is nothing here. You will never hear me say a bad word about Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis out of Gonzaga, the son of Arvydas Sabonis, former Portland Trailblazer. Okay, there is not a bad word that will ever come out of my mouth about Domantas Sabonis. I would have loved for the Bulls to mortgage everything they possibly could to have gotten Domantas Sabonis. Was not going to happen, but nevertheless. What are the Kings doing? why are they trading Halliburton? Like, I remember when they were talked about in the Simmons thing, and Halliburton was discussed in that. Like, that would have been the deal I was pulling the trigger for if I was the Sixers, getting Halliburton.
Yeah, I don't know what the Kings really doing. I don't understand why they don't like Buddy Hield. The kid was, I mean, at Oklahoma, he was really good. Yeah, he's had his spurs here and there while he's been in the NBA, but maybe he just need to put in a different situation, different type of offense. But they also got rid of Bagley, who they spent the pick on over, was it Embiid? Every guy who they took when they took Bagley, there was another superstar in that draft. But I never know what the Kings are doing. They're always trying to get back to that former glory they had when they used to go to the conference finals, but would run into the Spurs or the Lakers, or as I said before, the refs also had a doing in that. The one thing I thought was pretty crazy, I seen the other day as a Suns fan, there was rumors that they were trying to work a deal to get Sabonis from the Pacers by sending DeAndre Ayton out there.
That would have been interesting.
It would have been very interesting because I believe DeAndre still hasn't had a contract signed yet. I think this is his last year. They haven't been able to work out a deal with him. I know he's had some injury issues this year and a little bit of last year, but with him and Chris Paul and Devin Booker there, like, they make a great core. I know everyone's saying, they call people the big three, but that's three guys on the team that really mesh well together and play well together. So I was happy to. Sabonis is great, don't get me wrong, but I didn't want to lose Ayton in that trade.
Mark Cuban finally mercifully put to end the idea that Chris would be the number 2 for Luka. He dealt him to the Wizards. They got Dinwiddie and Bertans. I mean, not a great. I think it's just a reboot for Dallas. People killed the Knicks when they moved Porzingis. Similar to the Beckham thing about, they could have gotten more, but I mean, in the long run, you could argue whether or not the Knicks could have got more for Porzingis, but moving Porzingis was not the wrong move. It never worked out in Dallas. Now he'll go to Washington and whatever. And for Dallas, I think, this year has just kind of been, a lost year. They're not in any, they're not a real contender, but it gives them an opportunity to go into the offseason, without Porzingis, and now look for a true number 2 to put with Luka.
Luka's good. I like that guy. I wasn't surprised that Porzingis got moved to the Wizards, though. It was kind of wild. At this point, I think they're just trying to get another name out there to bring in some revenue and bring people to the stadiums. But they didn't get much for him, but Luka can't, as long as you got some role players around him, some guys that can hit some shots here and there when he kicks the rock to him, they'll be fine. But yeah, you're right. They need to find a true number 2 to help him out, though.
Other than that, nothing earth-shaking. Like the Bucks got Serge Ibaka. I think that's a nice depth move for the playoffs. But to
me, was one of the better trades, I thought, especially with Milwaukee. I mean, they're good, but having a guy like that on the team is going to help out a lot.
Toronto got Thad Young, similar good move depth-wise.
I'm more surprised the Lakers didn't make any moves.
Well, I was going to get to that because I saw something today in which, in talking with LeBron and AD, there was supposedly this whole thing. LeVert got moved. LeVert's hurt every freaking day. I could care less. They were on a FaceTime with Pelinka, basically begging them to make a move, and Pelinka didn't pull the trigger. The only deal that they discussed was the Westbrook for John Wall swap, in which the Rockets asked them to include a first-round pick, which they weren't willing to do. As far as I'm concerned, that would have not moved the needle at all for anybody. Westbrook. I mean, I think that this year, for anybody that was still a pro Westbrook guy, this has really kind of killed the Westbrook being this, great team player facilitator thing. Like, he can't get LeBron can't even fix him. He's on the bench. And then you were going to trade him for John Wall, who can't get off the bench because he can't move. I mean, it's not a needle mover to me at all. So yeah, the Lakers don't do anything. All the talk about the Knicks and maybe they would blow that up. Maybe they would move Julius Randle or somebody like that. They didn't do anything. And then, I think my Bulls, they didn't have a whole lot of assets to move. People wanted Patrick Williams. They weren't willing to do that. They could have moved Kobe White. But I think the Bulls are just kind of more content now on, right now they're playing without their backcourt. They don't have Lonzo. They don't have Alex Caruso. Patrick Williams has been out since the third game of the year. They just want to get healthy. The buyout market is the big thing in the NBA now after the deadline. All these guys get dealt and then get bought out and become free agents. We see that all the time, every year now with these top teams. Maybe the Bulls can get involved in the buyout market, get a couple of pieces for the stretch run, and more importantly, just get healthy.
I see that possibly. Bulls look good this year too. Once they get healthy, they're going to be a team to watch out for in the East.
Yeah, as the scout mentioning here, I did gloss over the fact that CJ McCollum got traded out of Portland. He said Portland up a ton of cap space and blah 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 blah. Here's the thing. They are trying to rebuild on the fly. Their idea was to take the assets that they got from the McCollum trade and use it to get somebody else big back for Dame. That didn't happen. Dame, for all reports, is pretty fed up at this point. Remember, we had the whole thing last offseason with would Dame ask for a trade, and he was going through Team USA and all that. And he held pretty firm to I'm not asking for anything, but this is kind of the straw that breaks that's breaking the back. Like, Portland better do something or have a real good plan coming into free agency, or Dame's not going to be there. Dame will ask out.
Yeah, I mean, Dame deserves a lot. I mean, he's put up with a lot in Portland. Has pretty much been the only thing that's been there for a long time since probably Brandon Roy, and he didn't last long. If Dame moves, I don't know where he goes. If he's gonna get, who would trade for him? Because I believe he's still under contract, correct?
Dame is still under contract, yes.
Yeah, so they need to make a big move this offseason then and show that they're willing to, commit and then build, but they haven't done anything. He's been in the league a long time, so it's going to be tough. I can see him leaving, though. He's pretty fed up with that place.
All right, Josh, you can take off the crown and come back now. We are done talking NBA. So you can be a participant in the show now. Besides, it is time for our favorite segment of the show, which is the ManFraud has spoken. So the owners' meeting
what up?
has taken place. It's just Chico's getting a very important call, so he'll take that. So the owners' meeting is taking place. So ManFraud had a press conference yesterday. Some things that came out of this press conference. He did not officially postpone training camp, basically saying that he would make a counter proposal to the players tomorrow on Saturday in what he called a good faith offer that he felt would spur communication and progress moving forward. ManFraud insisted he was an optimist. He outlined how spring training could start less than a week after a new labor agreement, and he still expects the regular season to start on time, opening day, March 31st. He says, I see missing games as a disastrous outcome for this industry. We're committed to making an agreement in an effort to avoid that. Some other things we talked last week about them trying to bring a mediator in that went nowhere. Some other things that got brought up, the universal DH is now allowed. They also have come up with a draft lottery. They won't have draft pick compensation. But what is ManFraud on here? Teams are supposed to report to spring training in like 3 days. What? He wants to send the offer tomorrow to have the players reject it, because we all know the players are going to reject it. So then he can say, oh, well, now I don't have a choice. The players don't like my offer. Like, I'm done with the game. You're not fooling anybody.
I don't think it's meant for like those of us that are actually paying attention. Like we knew that this is what he was going to do because we've been onto his game for a very long time. We've been onto his game for years now, because it's the same game that Bud Selig played before him. I like how he just threw in the universal DH like it wasn't a big deal. Like, oh yeah, we're doing the universal DH. By the way, like, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, quickly. I'm sorry to cut you off. I need to point this out. Okay, they made it sound like the universal DH was agreed upon wholeheartedly by everybody involved, and I'm sure the players could have cared less. Like the players aren't going to throw out pitchforks and say, "Hey, listen, we didn't say anything." But this was the owners and ManFraud's decision to implement the DH. This wasn't a agreed upon thing, or else it would have just been in the CBA and moved forward. But like that was a ManFraud thing, as usual. Same thing last year with the pitch clock and all the other stuff. That was ManFraud implemented things, not things agreed upon. This is ManFraud just continually screwing with the damn game.
Yeah, and he's screwing with the game, but he's doing it like I don't know if he's just trying to take these as moral victories or like what his game plan is by just throwing that out there. Maybe he's trying to just get some media headlines out there like, oh look, they agreed on something, with us well knowing that's an owners and the commissioner thing. That's not a play. The players didn't agree to this. I agree. I don't think the players care like at all. But it's more of like a, hey, look, we got the universal DH thing pushed through. So we're not going to say that spring training isn't going to happen. We're not going to say that pitchers and catchers aren't going to report. We're not going to say that that we're not going to start on time because I mean, look at the headway that we just made. Like I don't know if that's where he's going, but it sure feels that way. And I think you're right too. I think he's going to say, well, we sent them an offer, and they said no. They're the ones that are keeping you from getting your baseball. We never said that we were going to cancel it until now because, well, we thought the players would come through and accept our deal. So put this on the players as to why you don't have baseball. So he continues to try and pass the buck when those of us that pay attention see right through this shit. And unfortunately for us, we don't have the power to just remove him right now. So we're kind of stuck in this trap for as long as he allows it to continue.
So Chico, I already saw the article that you sent. I'm going to get to that. Because that's a big thing too, that in the midst of all this horse manure that ManFraud tries to shove at us, we're just going to casually slide that in. So we're going to get to that. But I just want to continue to break down what was said. So going back to the universal DH, it was said both sides expect that to be part of the CBA, and that's how ManFraud called it an agreement on Thursday. Both sides have also agreed to a draft lottery to reduce the reward for racing to the bottom of the standings. ManFraud said some owners were not thrilled by that proposal. I wonder who those were. He's also said they've offered to eliminate draft pick compensation from free agency, a move that should reduce the drag on salary offers some free agents receive as the union has long sought. Yeah, hey, I don't want to pay you $400 million and lose my first round pick. Like, that's why guys that even aren't necessarily, a client of Boris still drag out in the January and February to get signed because they have the draft pick compensation attached to them. What's funny is players have prioritized getting younger players paid a higher salary earlier. ManFraud said owners have responded with proposals to raise the minimum salary and create a bonus pool to play top players before they reach arbitration. He says under our proposal on the table, every single pre-art player would be better off than under the previous agreement. They asked him to put a dollar figure on the increase. He said hundreds of millions. That's a lie. That's a lie. Stop. That's not true. As we already know, owners are trying to increase the numbers of team in the postseason. They want 14. The players have countered with 12. We know that revenue sharing and the CBT, the tax threshold. Those are the two big areas that they're not getting any movement on. Josh, you've heard me tell you my idea for revenue sharing 800 times on this show. I'm sitting here not involved in any of this, and I feel like if I toss my idea on that table, it might actually be receptive to somebody, but they can't come up with anything to move the needle. So, that is what it is. But let's get to what Chico sent us here, which is, while spring training will probably be announced tomorrow as postponed, because again, there's no way you guys are coming up with an agreement and getting teams to report in 3 days. When ManFraud said it could be up and running in a week. Okay, we're less than a week now, so get your timelines correct. But while spring training can't start, minor leaguers are free to start up. Okay, they're not a part of this contract negotiation. They are their own thing. Their camps can start up and do whatever. So they're starting up as if everything is normal. Major League Baseball, however, says, minor league baseball players, you are not normal. You're anything but normal, actually. We're still pissed off we had to come to this stupid housing agreement that still doesn't work out for you, and we got to pay for that. So here's how we really feel. During spring training, we don't think you should get paid. In federal court on Friday, a league lawyer said minor league players should be considered trainees during spring training period and as such should not be paid. Are you serious?
I think that lawyer doesn't understand how a contract works.
How did this guy go in and say this with a straight face? And how did whoever the judge was in this federal court not laugh him out of the building?
I mean, there's enough money on the table here that I'm sure. What?
Chico is talking up a storm, and I can't hear him because his mic.
Oh, yeah.
Hello?
Oh, Mike. Hey!
There we go. I see Chico waving hands and going nuts, and nobody hears him.
Oops.
All right, try it again.
Oh, look. What was I saying?
I don't know. Nobody can hear you.
I was just saying, what, like you said, how would this guy, not get laughed out of court? What are they expecting to not pay these players a fair wage of what they're doing? Like, just because they're in the minor league system doesn't make them a trainee. They're still a professional athlete at this point. But you don't want to pay them, but you're willing to pay everyone else. It's not like you guys are losing that much money. You obviously can own the team.
Here's the thing. Going back to the housing agreement. All right, these guys are getting paid basically under minimum wage per month. Okay, and then because they had to pay for their own housing and stuff, like they had no money. All right, so that's where the housing came in. And now that the housing agreement has kind of come to surface, they've said, well, players and the advocates for these minor leaguers have said, well, now that we've looked at the plan, this still doesn't really work out real well. Like, it doesn't really help minor leaguers who have families and want to live with their families. And things like there's all kinds of little holes in this whole thing. So that's still an issue. And tell me, okay, we all have jobs here, and we've all, I'm sure, have been a trainee at a job at one time or another. At what job? Okay, he said that they are trainees, not interns, trainees. Okay. At what job have you ever gone and trained for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and not been paid for it? Because I can't think of one. This isn't an internship. By the way, there are paid internships too, by the way. I'm not even going down that road. But I'm talking about training. Okay, I brought in for a class or a seminar or just training under somebody at the place for X amount of time. I'm getting paid for that. That's and that's a really loose comparison to what these minor league baseball players are, but under the same umbrella, if we get paid for that, how the hell are you trying to tell me they don't get paid for this? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And there has been a lot of dumb crap coming out of ManFraud and MLB in general. All right, as far as the guaranteed contracts because of the draft slots, you want to talk about the number of guys who have that money composed to the number of players in the minor leagues? You're talking about a very small percentage, Gunnar.
Yeah, it's mainly older players. He's right there. I can tell you with absolute certainty, I did have a job once where I was not getting paid. I went through training. I was working every single day, and I didn't get paid for like my first week and a half. And it was one of those marketing jobs where you go door to door and you market a product and you hope that they buy it. It was a goddamn
What, a
Kirby
vacuum
vacuum.
cleaner? Was it, were you
Yes,
selling
sir.
vacuums?
Yep.
I've heard about you.
Did
people.
that job for 2 weeks. Never again. So unless you run into something like that, minor league baseball players ain't selling vacuums here. Okay, so just the way that a contract works in general. If you want to go to court and say that they're a trainee, I mean, labor laws within those individual states are going to destroy that rule. Like, just because the federal government might, for some reason, say, yeah, you're right, the individual states are going to be like, too bad, you have to pay them anyway. So it's a dumb argument that I can't believe even made it into a courtroom. I can't even fathom it.
Let me ask you guys a question. Percentage number.
Okay.
What do you guys think the percentage number is of the number of players in the MLB? We're not even talking about minor leaguers in MLB that don't make $1 million.
Probably about 35%.
Okay.
40.
Chico?
40%.
What if I told you it was 65?
Would not be shocked.
I mean, I'm surprised, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's the MLB. I can see that.
And that is why
I suppose arbitration
we
those
are
first couple of years.
That is why we're in the predicament we're in. I mean, look at the numbers that are going back and forth in these proposals aren't hidden. They're coming out. I mean, the players aren't asking, guys that come up in their first year to be making, they're not asking for the minimum salary to be $1 million. Okay. They're talking about $700K, and asking that guys can get to real money sooner than 6 years. None of these are outlandish requests. Okay. And again, these owners want to cry poor. The minute this deal is signed, they're going to get a humongous deal from ESPN for the extra playoff games that has been negotiated since last year. Okay, so there's an influx. And again, all this, all the money that has come in over this time, when all, they can talk about, oh, well, we're not getting income because of games. You're not paying the players either. So there's no owner that's going to cry poor to me and it's going to work. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And somebody before me and Josh hooked up, and then obviously Chico, you came on, but before me and Josh started this show, I did a baseball show with somebody else. If Coral was around, okay, yeah. I was like, Chico, you used to listen to that show.
I was on your show before.
So that, okay, I will not hold back. The reason why we don't do that show anymore is because that guy's a moron. He's a moron. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't handle it. So I put something on Facebook the other day after ManFraud had opened his mouth, basically to the idea that, he's delusional and this is why, we're at a lockout. I mean, again, let us not forget, for these people that, and this is what I'm getting to, for people that want to blame the players, the owners didn't make a proposal until day 40 of the lockout. 40! But it's the players' fault. And this moron wants to say blame the players.
I'll never blame the players. It's always the owners.
Okay.
You think
players
Dan
make
Snyder's
too much.
going to become a Major League Baseball owner?
100%.
They treat players like slaves. So it makes sense.
Dan Snyder.
Dan Snyder.
I mean, here is the number one problem with baseball. Okay, and we're talking, and it ties into what you guys talk about with Dan Snyder in the NFL. People think the NFL has a diversity problem because it is a bunch of old white men in that owner's box, just having their just living in the old days and, running amok, which you still have your guys in there, you still got your, and I'm not grouping all these guys together as, anti-diversity, but just, for examples, okay, Jerry Jones has been an owner here for a long time. Well, McNair died, but he was another one. I mean, you still have your core group of, but in baseball, that is 100% what you have. Okay, it is literally the old white man's group. Okay, how many minority owners are there? How many black owners are there?
Derek Jeter.
He's
okay. If you want to call Derek Jeter, okay. First off, I'm not calling Derek Jeter an owner. Derek Jeter didn't have money to buy the goddamn Marlins. I go through this every time somebody wants to bring this up. Derek Jeter's he's somebody that got a title. Owners don't get paid. Derek Jeter gets paid. He's a fucking ambassador. He's not an owner.
No, he's part owner of the Seattle Mariners.
Not Jeter.
No, I said Ken Griffey Jr.
Well, he just got a percentage recently, right? Something like that.
Yeah, this offseason.
I'm talking. All right, let me rephrase this. Give me the majority owner.
Bruce Sherman.
Who is a minority?
Oh, he's not a minority.
The only guy that I could come up with off the top of my head, and I'm not even sure what his percentage is in it. I'm sure it's not a majority, but because they show him all the time, is Magic Johnson with the Dodgers. I know he's not a majority owner. I think it's the Gutenbergs or something that
something like that. Yeah.
But that's it. It is literally the old white man's group in the MLB owners box. Okay, that is why the game doesn't progress. Here's the thing, and Josh, I think you'll agree with me on this because the three of us all watch baseball, and I think we all feel the same way about baseball. As much as we love baseball, okay, if you're a guy that doesn't love baseball and just wants to casually watch a baseball game, it is a rough watch right now, okay? And despite the fact that a baseball game is about the same amount of time as an NFL game, people could care less. People would much rather watch an NFL game because there's action all the time as opposed to a baseball game, which is a ton of dead time, okay? So instead of sitting here arguing about economics and, can we pay these guys a little more and can you give this and we don't want to do it. What you should be doing is working through that and sitting down and having an actual conversation between your owners, your commissioner, who, again, should be working on the good of the game, he instead is just being a middleman for the owners, which, again, I don't understand whether that's what he gets paid for, but as a commissioner, it's supposed to be to work for the betterment of the game, which you're not doing. Okay? But have the owners and the players sit at a table and discuss ways to make this game more entertaining. because you're going in the opposite direction. Okay, and the players are vocal about having all these ideas, whether it be, getting mic'd up or doing X, Y, and Z, or, and I've heard things about, getting out into, rural areas, at ball fields and YMCAs and all, and that's all well and good. But on the field, we need to find ways to make games more exciting, whether that's getting rid of the shift, whether that is, actually telling these hitters that launch angle is garbage and just making contact used to be something that was good. The art of base stealing has gone away. Guys don't steal bases anymore. A hit and run is forgotten. Shit, butting is almost impossible. It is not. We're talking about 20 years ago, where baseball was still to its core baseball and watchable. And all of those things I just mentioned were still very evident in the game. And now we're 20 years removed and they're all gone. They're all gone. Because now, instead of the guy who hits 280 and steals 20 bases and has a 400 on base percentage, instead we like the guy who hits 230, hits 35 home runs, and strikes out 200 times. And then you wonder,
exciting, okay?
Why we have 30 strikeouts in a game.
People like home runs. It's exciting. Chicks dig the long ball.
But that's the thing. You want home runs, but you don't want the strikeouts. But because you want home runs, now everybody's selling out. It's home run or bust. There's no middle ground. It used to be everybody makes contact and you have the guys who have the power. Now it's everybody wants the power and doesn't worry about the contact. You can go 5 minutes in a game before a ball goes in play. That's ridiculous.
No, yeah, it's true. But
they just need to get better at hitting, though.
It's the pitchers. They're too good. They got spider tech, baby.
It's got nothing for years. Pitchers have doctored the baseball, whether it was spider tack, whether it was pine tar, whether it was spit, whether it was whatever else, Vaseline. The baseball has always been doctored. Okay? It's not that. All right? The day that they started selling out for home runs and, the owners want to cry about, well, we have to pay guys this. You were the one that Chris Davis is the best example I can come with. You paid Chris Davis all that money when he was hitting 210, striking out 250 times a year and hitting 35, 40 home runs. Chris Davis is the poster child for baseball today and why it sucks.
No. Byron Buxton.
Byron Buxton isn't even making that much money when you look at
it. He's making a lot more money than he should. He's making $11 million more per year than he should be making.
But my point is
pick up? That's the GOAT.
The GOAT at what? Playing a month every year?
Still the GOAT.
Having one good month of baseball and then sitting out the rest of the year? Yeah, he's the GOAT at that, for sure.
It's not like Minnesota's ever going to win anything anyways. They might as well get someone people like.
We have more World Series championships than Vegas does.
Vegas doesn't have a team.
There you go.
Chico's a Diamondback fan. He's not even and we can't even call out Chico for his Vegas loyalty. He was wearing a Flames hat before we came on this show.
It was a free hat.
True story.
Free hat.
Good God.
Was that a free hat?
This?
Yeah.
No, I paid good money for this hat.
See? Fool.
All right. So to wrap up this show, we will sometime in this week, this upcoming week, we will do NU now that Josh is back up and running. Chico's back in a state that's more his style. So we'll do NU sometime this week. Moving forward, though, we can have an open discussion on air here quickly before we go. Obviously, we have no more football after Sunday. I don't think USFL is going to be a hot topic on the show. I'm just going to go out.
I'm gonna have a whole 15 minutes to talk about it.
Yeah. So, moving forward, I'm curious what our hot topic discussions are going to be, because I don't foresee either of you being big college basketball guys. I certainly know Josh isn't a college basketball guy.
I picked Duke doing it all, so.
And Chico, get a refund.
Why? They're going to. Who's going to beat them? First off, Gonzaga's never going to win, so get off that boat now.
Listen, me and as I watched Duke lose an awful game the other night
Happens to the best.
Not Clemson. They beat Clemson. It was the game before that. I forget who it was. Here's what's going to happen. Coach K, in his final year, they're going to get in a soft bracket where they'll have a pretty easy run to the Sweet 16. After that, can they get to the Elite Eight? Sure. They're not getting to the Final Four. They are not a Final Four team at all.
Yeah, I know, because they're a championship team.
No.
I'll be getting my refund back plus more when they win.
That's not going to happen.
I give out free money all the time. You guys better bet Duke, because it's a winner.
Yeah, no. The scout is true. We could go back to talking about soccer. By the way, Brentford is really going in the tank lately. Just,
I'm not surprised.
Not good for Brentford.
There's always hockey. Hockey goes till April.
Gotta love me some
yes,
hockey.
We can talk hockey. Right now we're just kind of getting we're technically supposed to be on Olympic break, but we're getting all those COVID makeup games. I mean, the Rangers haven't played in 2 weeks. They don't play again until Tuesday. But the deadline is coming up here soon. There's a lot of talk about the Rangers being active, so hopefully they'll make some moves. Your Wild over there going to be active?
Probably not. I mean,
they're garbage.
Paid a lot of money to Kaprizov, so I don't know that we have a lot of free cap space to move a lot. I don't know that we're going to trade a lot of guys either. We're kind of built to win right now, so I don't see a lot of movement. There's not much that we need to improve on at the moment. So I don't know. We might move, but I don't know who it would be other than potentially Foligno, just because of his recent issues. Everybody else, I don't really see moving.
I think, hold on, let me bring this up real quick since we're talking. I think we still have like 2 weeks till the deadline.
I think so.
Let me get an exact.
Yeah, it should be close. I mean, Vegas looks good.
We have 9 days. It's Monday, March 21st.
A little over a week then, huh?
Yep, 9 days. So
fuck the Canucks.
We should get a clear idea. Your Knights a little up and down over there, Chico, or should I say your Flames? I don't know what team you're rooting for these days. You got a lot of hats.
Again, I got a lot of hats. Free hat for the Flames, so that's why I wear it. But the Knights, yeah, they did lose the Flames actually, bad. But I doubt they're gonna move anyone. They've made a lot of trades this last few years. It feels like,
much cap room.
Not cap room, and word is that Eichel might actually make a comeback here, or might be able to start skating soon.
I was gonna say you're gonna have to trade off pieces to handle the Eichel coming back.
I am going to take my own personal money and give the Knights $5 a week to help.
I don't think that works out.
No, I've talked to the commissioner. He said it's okay. And I'm going to help pay his contract.
What's this about the Coyotes playing at a YMCA or whatever?
So they haven't paid.
At Arizona State, yeah.
They're gonna go play at the ASU's.
That's the YMCA, basically.
Hey, like Kessel said, I don't care where we play as long as they got good hot dogs down there. Okay.
First of all, you have to respect ASU's program. They made it to the Frozen Four last year. Or 2020.
I'm not sure. that
Forks
Phil
up, baby.
is going to be playing at ASU 9 days from now?
I think if they trade him, he's just going to retire. It's 110
he's
years old.
Kessel's going to get traded. That
Well,
is
they-
100%.
When they traded
certain.
Ekman Arsenal, I was very surprised because he was like the staple when he came into the Coyotes, and everyone's like, "This is the guy. We're going to build around him. He's good." We still had Shane Doan there at the time, but he never really lived up to the hype of being, a scoring defenseman. I think what he came in as.
I'm interested to see if the Flyers move Giroux. He's going to be a free agent after the year. He just won MVP of the All-Star game, which is Giroux to a T. Win an MVP of nothing that matters and be nowhere to be found when it does matter. From everything that I read, it seems like the Flyers are kind of leaving the ball in Giroux's court as far as if Giroux's open to being moved, they'll facilitate it. But if not, they're not, actively pursuing it. If I'm the Flyers, the Flyers are hot garbage. They're going nowhere.
That's a typical Flyer thing. I mean, they haven't really lived up to any hype. Do they have hype this year?
What hype?
What is the scout talking about with Giroux out? Did he suddenly get back surgery that I'm unaware of?
Giroux.
I'm pulling up
Hold
the
on, I'll
Google
look this up.
machine. Hold on.
I don't know how. Oh, that's a French soccer player.
Nothing. I see nothing about Claude Giroux and a back surgery. I have the Google machine in front of me.
I wouldn't know how to spell Claude or Giroux.
Well, that's not a surprise.
He had a wrist injury on the 20th of January.
He just, like I said, he just played the All-Star game.
Yeah. Oh, hold
Actually,
on.
I heard. I thought they
Here
were
we go.
trading him to
Hold on.
Avalanche.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got something here. The Flyers are heavily scouting the Avs NHL and AHL affiliate for a potential Claude Giroux trade. Danny Briere, who is the special assistant to the GM, was at the AHL game Friday, and he was also at the Avalanche game on Thursday. So, like I said, Giroux has a no movement clause,
Yes.
but he would obviously have to.
You
have to
can't
waive
read,
it.
can you, Gunner?
Oh, Couturier. Nobody cares about Sean Couturier.
God,
Yeah, I know. Jesus.
I'm buying. You know what? Give me your address. I'm sitting Hook on Phonics. I know I can still find it out there. We'll get you some words. We'll teach you to read.
So
Teach you how to spell,
apparently,
too.
So here's what this article says, for what it's worth. It says Flyers would need Colorado's first-round pick. The Avs don't have a first-rounder this year, so it would have to be one down the road. The Flyers are also believed to be pursuing a top prospect and player from Colorado's roster, such as a center like Tyson Jost or a winger like JT Comper. They are enamored with Sampo Rantna, a 21-year-old left winger who was drafted in the third round of 2018. So it seems like they've got, on their end, a general idea of what they're looking for as a package from the Avs for it. But, all right, Chico, if you want to go get smashed, go ahead. You can leave. It's
I
fine.
will see you guys later.
Bye,
Adios.
buddy.
I was like, we're gonna close up shop here in a second anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some sleep, man.
I
I got a kid that doesn't let me sleep.
But I'm going off of I didn't sleep at all last night, and I was at work all day, so I'm going off of no sleep. So it is what it is. But we'll wrap it up. So we'll wrap it up here. We can dive into the hockey next week as we get close to the deadline. So that's it. Like I said, we'll do NU sometime early in the week. We will shoot for probably Tuesday. Tuesday seems to be a good day for the group, so we'll shoot for NU on Tuesday, and then probably right back here next Friday for Beard. Friday or Saturday. We'll see how it works out. But until then, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys then.